And this is what you're taught in school. When you go to university, you will be taught this is completely and utterly wrong. Why? Because this assumes that these atoms are matter, they're solid. But in reality, if you go deep enough, you will find that they are actually just vibrations, what we call quantum fields. And they are just vibrations. And what the electron really is an intersection of these quantum fields. Also, these quantum fields can always exist in two states. The first is as a wave, the second is as a particle. And we can only know if it's a wave or a particle by observing it. And this is what's called a wave function collapse. In other words, all of nature is vibrational, it's energy. And it's only when we observe it, when we interact with it, that becomes something solid that we can see and measure and touch. Okay? It's called a wave function collapse. And that's what quantum mechanics teaches us. Okay? All right. So now let's try to, based on all this, okay, Kant and quantum mechanics, create a theory of reality. Okay? So what's important to understand is that everything are just vibrations. Okay? That's all it is. It's vibrations.
Everything you were taught about reality is backwards, and I can prove it to you in the next hour. Not with theories or beliefs, but with evidence so clear, so measurable, that you'll wonder how you ever believed the lie in the first place. Here's what's really happening. Reality isn't solid matter that occasionally produces consciousness. Reality is consciousness that produces the illusion of solid matter. The universe isn't a dead machine that randomly generated life. The universe is a living intelligence, and you are how it experiences itself. And death? Death isn't the end of consciousness. It's the universe's built-in reset button, designed to prevent you from being permanently trapped by your mistakes and negative patterns. I know how that sounds. But by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why every school, every textbook, every expert has been teaching you the opposite. And more importantly, you'll have the actual user manual for how reality works. The 3 non-negotiable rules that let you start using this knowledge tonight. Because here's the truth they can't hide anymore. You're not in reality. You are reality, temporarily pretending to be separate so the universe can experience itself from infinite perspectives. And once you understand how this works, everything changes. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Think back to your first day of school. Maybe you were 5, maybe 6 years old. You walked into that classroom full of curiosity, imagination, and questions about everything. Then they started teaching you the lies. Not small lies, not innocent mistakes. Systematic lies designed to disconnect you from your actual power and make you controllable through fear. Let me show you the 3 foundational lies that built the prison you've been living in, and more importantly, why they taught you these lies in the first place. Lie number 1. You are your body. Remember learning about cells in biology class? They showed you diagrams of the human body, broke it down into organs, tissues, cells, molecules, atoms. And somewhere along the way you absorbed a simple message. You are this body. You are this brain. When the body dies, you cease to exist. This is the foundation. This is the lock on the prison door. Because once you believe you are your body, once you believe consciousness is produced by the brain rather than through the brain, you become controlled by fear. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of aging. But here's what they didn't teach you in biology class. Your body completely replaces itself every 7 years. Every single cell, except your neurons, gets replaced. The atoms that make up your body right now weren't in your body 7 years ago. So if you are your body, who were you 7 years ago? Who will you be 7 years from now? The truth is simpler. You're not your body. Your consciousness, temporarily using a body as an interface to experience physical reality. Just like you're not your car, you're someone driving a car. Your body is a vehicle, a tool, an avatar in the physical world. When you truly understand this, fear starts to dissolve. Because you realize the real you can't be damaged, can't be diminished, can't die. But that realization makes you uncontrollable. So they had to make sure you never figured it out. Lie number 2. Reality is material. This is the big one. This is the lie that keeps everything else in place. Walk up to a wall and knock on it. Feels solid, right? They taught you that this wall is made of atoms, and atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Solid particles of matter stacked together to create the solid world. But here's what those same physics textbooks say on page 437, after they've already programmed you to think matter is real. Atoms are 99.9999% empty space. If you removed all the empty space from all the atoms in all the humans on Earth, the entire human race would fit into a sugar cube. Wait. So if atoms are almost entirely empty space, what are you touching when you touch the wall? The answer: you're not touching matter. You're feeling electromagnetic force fields repelling each other. The electrons in your hand and the electrons in the wall are creating forces that give the impression of solidity. But there's more. When scientists look closer at those solid particles, at electrons, protons, quarks, they don't find solid things at all. They find waves of probability, patterns of vibration, pure energy in motion. Go down far enough and there's no matter at all. Just energy, just vibration, just information patterns in a field. So that wall, that table, your body, none of it is actually solid matter. It's concentrated energy vibrating at specific frequencies, creating the illusion of solidity. Reality isn't material. It never was. It's vibrational. And once you understand that vibration is primary and matter is secondary, you start to see how you can influence reality. Because if everything is vibration, and you're constantly broadcasting vibration through your thoughts and emotions, then you're not just observing reality, you're actively participating in creating it. But they couldn't teach you that in school. Because people who understand they're creating reality don't need permission, don't need authorities, don't stay in line. Lie number 3, reality is bottom up. This lie is more subtle but equally important. The official story goes like this. First, there was the Big Bang, random, meaningless, purposeless. Then particles formed, then stars, then planets, then chemistry, then simple life, then complex life, then consciousness. Reality started dumb and dead, and slowly, accidentally, randomly generated intelligence and awareness. Consciousness emerged from matter. It's a byproduct of physical processes, a side effect of brain chemistry, an illusion created by neurons firing. This is the emergent, or bottom-up model, dumb matter at the bottom, consciousness emerging at the top, after billions of years of random chance. But there's a massive problem with this story. A problem so obvious that scientists have been scrambling to explain it for decades. How does unconscious matter randomly generate consciousness? It's called the hard problem of consciousness. And there's no solution, because you can't get something from nothing. You can't add up enough dead particles and suddenly get awareness. It's like trying to build a colorblind robot and expecting it to suddenly experience the redness of red. You can program behavior. You can simulate responses. But you can't create actual subjective experience from purely physical processes. The reason they can't solve it is simple. They're starting from the wrong end. Reality isn't bottom up. It's top down. Consciousness doesn't emerge from matter. Matter emerges from consciousness. The universe isn't unconscious stuff that randomly generated awareness. The universe is awareness, expressing itself as apparent stuff. Think about your dreams. In your dream last night, there were people, places, objects. They seemed real while you were dreaming. But when you woke up, where did they go? They dissolved back into your consciousness, because that's what they always were. Consciousness temporarily taking the form of separate things. Your nighttime dreams and your daytime reality work the same way. Different levels, different rules, but same fundamental process. Consciousness creating the appearance of separate objects and experiences. This is what ancient wisdom traditions have been saying for thousands of years. This is what quantum physics has been proving for 100 years. This is what mystics and scientists who actually look closely at reality discover. Consciousness is primary. Matter is secondary. The universe is top-down, not bottom-up. Now here's the key question. Why teach these lies? Why systematically disconnect people from understanding how reality actually works? The answer is simple and dark. Control. If you believe you are your body, you fear death. You're desperate to survive. You'll trade freedom for security. You'll obey rules to stay safe. If you believe reality is material, you think you're separate from everything. You compete instead of cooperate. You fight for limited resources. You feel powerless to change your circumstances. If you believe consciousness emerged from dead matter, you think you're an accident, meaningless, purposeless. You look to external authorities to tell you what matters, what's true, what you should do. These three lies create the perfect, controllable human, afraid of death, feeling separate and powerless, looking to authorities for meaning, competing for resources, believing they can't change reality. But the awakened human, the one who knows the truth, is completely different. Knows consciousness is primary and can't die. Understands they're connected to everything. Trusts their own inner guidance. Creates reality consciously. Lives without fear. Which one do you think those in power want you to be? The good news is this. The truth is breaking through. The lies are collapsing, and once you see through them, you can never be controlled by them again. So let's tear down these lies completely. Let's look at exactly how reality actually works, starting with the most fundamental discovery in modern physics, a discovery they try very hard to keep complicated and inaccessible. Close your eyes for a moment. Tap your finger on the table next to you. You heard that sound, right? That tap. Now here's a question that will change everything. What is sound? Most people say sound is vibration in the air, and that's partially right. But go deeper. What is the air? Molecules of nitrogen and oxygen. What are molecules? Atoms bonded together. What are atoms? Protons, neutrons, electrons. What are those? Quarks and electrons held together by force fields. What are quarks and electrons? This is where it gets interesting. At the deepest level, scientists can probe. There are no things. There are only waves, patterns of vibration in quantum fields, pure energy dancing in mathematical patterns. That table you tapped isn't solid matter. It's a pattern of vibrations in the electron field, the quark field, the electromagnetic field, all interfering with each other in such a precise way that they create the illusion of a solid surface. Your hand isn't solid either. It's another pattern of vibrations. When you tap the table, you're creating a disturbance in one pattern that affects another pattern, which creates pressure waves in the air. Another pattern, which vibrates your eardrum. Another pattern, which your brain translates into the experience of sound. Vibration upon vibration upon vibration. There is nothing else. There never was. Everything in the universe is vibration at a specific frequency. The difference between one thing and another isn't the stuff it's made of. It's the frequency it's vibrating at. Think of a piano. Press middle C, you hear a specific note at 261.6 Hz. Press the C one octave up, You hear 523.2 Hertz. Same instrument, same string material, different frequency, completely different sound. Now expand that. The entire universe is like an infinite universal instrument, with every possible frequency playing simultaneously. What we call matter is just low-frequency vibration, slow, dense, stable patterns. What we call energy is high-frequency vibration, fast, light, unstable patterns. Your body? Vibrating around 62 to 70 megahertz in its healthy state. Your thoughts? Vibrating at much higher frequencies, millions of hertz in your brain's neural oscillations. Your emotions? Each one has a distinct vibrational signature that your body produces and broadcasts. Even light is vibration, electromagnetic waves at different frequencies. Red light vibrates at 430 trillion hertz. Violet light at 750 trillion hertz. Your eyes can only detect a tiny sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum, less than 0.0035% of all frequencies that exist. Think about that. Less than 0.0035% of reality is visible to your eyes. The rest is invisible vibrational frequencies you can't see, but that are just as real. Radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays, and frequencies we haven't even discovered yet. So when you look around your room right now, you're only seeing a tiny fraction of what's actually there. The room is full of invisible vibrations passing through it constantly. Radio signals, Wi-Fi signals, cosmic rays, quantum field fluctuations, and countless other frequencies. Reality is a vibrational ocean, and you're swimming in it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. These vibrations aren't happening in empty space. They are space. They're patterns in quantum fields that fill the entire universe. The electron field, the photon field, the Higgs field, the gravitational field. Dozens of quantum fields, all overlapping, all vibrating, all connected. This means every point in space is connected to every other point through these fields. Change the vibration here, and it affects the field everywhere. You know how when you drop a stone in a pond, ripples spread outward in all directions? The universe works the same way. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take creates vibrational ripples in the quantum fields. Those ripples spread outward, affecting everything they encounter. You're not separate from the rest of reality. You're a focal point of vibration within a unified vibrational field. An eddy in the cosmic river, a note in the universal symphony. And here's what this means practically. You're constantly broadcasting your vibrational state into the field through your thoughts, emotions, and focus. And you're constantly receiving vibrational information from the field through your senses, intuition, and awareness. It's a two-way conversation. You affect the field, and the field affects you. Constantly, simultaneously, unavoidably. But there's a catch. Your conscious mind can only process a tiny amount of information at once. Scientists estimate your conscious awareness processes about 40 bits of information per second. Meanwhile, your subconscious processes about 40 million bits per second. So you're receiving massive amounts of vibrational information from the field every second, but your conscious mind only notices a fraction of it. The rest gets filtered out. What determines which 40 bits out of 40 million you consciously perceive? Your beliefs, your expectations, your emotional state, your focus, your dominant vibration. This is crucial. You don't perceive reality as it is. You perceive reality filtered through your current vibrational state. Let me give you an example. You buy a new car, let's say a red Honda. Suddenly, you start seeing red Hondas everywhere. Did all these red Hondas suddenly appear on the road? No. They were always there. But now your brain is tuned to notice them because they're relevant to you. Same thing happens with everything. When you're in a fearful state, you notice threats. When you're in a grateful state, you notice blessings. When you're focused on lack, you see scarcity. When you're focused on abundance, you see opportunities. You're not seeing different realities. You're tuning into different frequencies of the same reality. And this is where it gets powerful. If changing your vibrational state changes what you perceive, and what you perceive determines how you think and feel, and how you think and feel determines your vibrational state. You can see the loop, right? This is the feedback mechanism that either keeps you trapped in negative patterns or elevates you to new levels. And understanding how this feedback loop works is the key to everything. Let's make this real. Let's give you direct evidence that reality is vibrational and that you can feel it. Sit comfortably. Take 3 slow breaths. Now, rub your hands together vigorously for about 10 seconds. Create some heat, some friction. Now slowly pull your hands apart, about 6 inches. Pay attention to the space between your palms. Do you feel it? That subtle sensation, maybe tingling, maybe warmth, maybe a kind of magnetic pressure between your hands. That's real. That's not imagination. At the quantum level, the friction created temporary electrical charges and electromagnetic patterns between your hands. You're feeling the electromagnetic field. You're feeling vibration. Now slowly move your hands closer together and farther apart. Notice how the sensation changes. You're directly manipulating quantum fields with your intention. This is your first direct proof. You are not separate from the vibrational field. You can feel it. You can affect it. You're part of it. And if you can do this with the small electromagnetic field between your hands, what else can you affect? What other vibrational patterns can you influence? The answer? Everything. Because everything is vibration, and you're a vibrational being in a vibrational universe. But to understand how to use this, we need to look at the most important discovery in quantum physics. The discovery that proves consciousness is not just part of reality, but the very foundation of it. In 1927, a group of scientists performed an experiment that would shatter the foundations of physical reality. It's called the double-slit experiment, and once you truly understand what it means, you can never see yourself or the world the same way again. Here's what they did. They shot individual electrons, one at a time, at a screen with 2 slits in it. Behind the slits was a detector screen to see where the electrons landed. Simple enough, right? Each electron should go through one slit or the other and hit the back screen, creating 2 bands of impacts, one behind each slit. But that's not what happened. Instead, they saw an interference pattern, multiple bands of impacts, as if each electron went through both slits at the same time and interfered with itself like a wave. Weird, but okay. Maybe electrons are waves, not particles. But here's where it gets impossible. The moment they added a detector to see which slit each electron actually went through, the interference pattern disappeared. The electrons started behaving like particles again, going through one slit or the other. The act of observation changed the behavior of the electron. Not because the measurement equipment physically interfered with it. They've ruled that out with countless refined experiments. The electron literally existed in a wave of probability until it was observed, at which point it chose to become a particle in one location. Let's be very clear about what this proves. Before observation, the electron is in a superposition, existing in all possible states simultaneously, described by a wave function of probability. After observation, the wave function collapses, and the electron appears in one definite state. The observer's act of measurement literally collapses probability into actuality. This isn't a metaphor. This isn't an interpretation. This is what the math says. This is what every experiment confirms. Consciousness, the act of observation, is the mechanism that transforms potential into reality. Now, they'll tell you, it's not about consciousness. It's just about measurement, or interaction, or decoherence. But here's the problem with that explanation. What counts as a measurement? When does the wave function collapse? At what point does probability become actuality? Some say it's when a particle interacts with a measuring device. But measuring devices are made of particles too. What collapses their wave functions? Other particles? Then what collapses those? Where does it end? The only thing that's different about a conscious observer versus a measuring device is consciousness itself. The awareness. The subjective experience of knowing. That's the variable that makes reality definite instead of probabilistic. Here's the implication that will completely change how you see yourself. You're not just observing reality. You're collapsing wave functions with every observation. You're turning the infinite field of potential into the specific reality you experience. Without observers, the universe would remain in superposition. All possibilities existing simultaneously. None manifesting. The universe literally needs conscious observers to make itself real. You're not an insignificant speck in a vast, uncaring cosmos. You're the mechanism by which the universe experiences itself. You're the instrument through which infinite potential becomes finite experience. Think about that the next time you feel small or powerless. The universe cannot know itself without you. Reality cannot become definite without observation. You're not optional. You're essential. Now let's bring this down from quantum mechanics to your daily life, because this isn't just abstract physics. This is the operating system of reality, and understanding it changes everything. If observation collapses wave functions, if consciousness transforms potential into actuality, then several things become immediately true. First, your expectations shape your reality. When you approach a situation expecting a certain outcome, you're not just predicting the future, you're collapsing wave functions in that direction. Your expectation is a form of observation that biases probability toward that outcome. Have you ever noticed how when you're expecting something bad to happen, it often does? That's not just confirmation bias. You're literally collapsing the wave of possibility toward the outcome you're focused on. Second, the quality of your attention matters. Focused, coherent attention collapses wave functions more powerfully than scattered, incoherent attention. This is why meditation works, why visualization works, why people who maintain consistent focus on their goals tend to achieve them. You're not just thinking positive. You're directing the quantum field towards specific outcomes through sustained observation. Third, you cannot observe reality objectively. Every observation changes what's being observed. You're always participating in reality, never just watching it. This means you're responsible for your experience in ways most people never consider. The world isn't happening to you. It's happening through you, with you, as a co-creative process between your consciousness and the quantum field. Let's make this practical. Let's give you a way to experience this observer effect in your own life. Think of something small that you've been wanting to happen. Maybe a friend you haven't heard from in a while reaching out, or finding a parking spot easily, or having a really good conversation. For the next 24 hours, I want you to do something specific. Every time you think of this outcome, don't just wish for it or hope for it. Observe it as if it's already happened. See it clearly. Feel what it feels like to have experienced it, and then let it go. You're not trying to force anything. You're not desperately needing it to happen. You're simply observing it in the field of probability, which begins to collapse that probability into actuality. Do this 5 to 10 times throughout the day. Brief focus, clear observation, release. That's it. Watch what happens. Because when you start consciously using your power of observation, instead of letting it run randomly, reality begins to respond. Some people will get results the first day. Others might take a few days. But everyone who actually does this consistently will start noticing something. Reality becomes more responsive. Synchronicities increase. The things you focus on start appearing more frequently. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is you learning to work with the actual mechanism by which consciousness affects reality. But here's the warning. This observer effect works whether you're aware of it or not. And it works on everything you observe, wanted and unwanted. Every time you focus on what you fear, you're observing it, which collapses probability toward it. Every time you replay a painful memory, you're reinforcing that vibrational pattern in the field. Every time you expect disappointment, you're biasing reality toward disappointment. Most people are using their observer power backwards. They're unconsciously collapsing wave functions toward the outcomes they don't want, simply because those are the outcomes they're focusing on most. Fear gets more attention than trust. Problems get more focus than solutions. Worst-case scenarios run through your mind more than best-case scenarios. And the universe, the quantum field, doesn't judge whether your observation is wanted or unwanted. It just responds to where you're directing your attention. This is why the first step in changing your reality is changing what you observe. Not what you look at, but what you focus on, what you expect, what you believe is possible. Because your observation is not passive. It's the most powerful creative force in your personal universe. And now that you understand this, you can start using it consciously. But before we get to the specific techniques for doing that, you need to understand the second fundamental rule of reality, the rule that explains why the universe works this way in the first place. Because the observer effect isn't random. It's not an accident. It's built into the design of reality for a specific purpose, a purpose that changes everything about how you see your life, your challenges, and your role in existence. Let me ask you a question that might seem strange at first. Why does the universe need to observe itself? If consciousness is what collapses wave functions and makes reality definite, why? Why would the universe set itself up this way? Why not just be one solid, unchanging thing? The answer to this question is so profound that when you truly grasp it, your entire life makes sense in a way it never has before. Here it is. The universe exists to know itself, to experience itself, to expand itself. And you are how it's doing that. Imagine you're the only thing that exists. You're infinite, eternal, all-powerful, containing all possibilities. Sounds great, right? Except for one problem. If you're everything, there's no perspective from which to experience yourself. No separation, no contrast, no relationship. It's like trying to see your own face without a mirror. You can't do it. You need something outside yourself to reflect your image back. The universe faces the same problem. As an infinite, unified field of consciousness, it cannot experience itself directly. It can only know itself by creating the illusion of separation, by splitting itself into countless individual points of view, each of which can observe and experience a small part of the whole. That's what you are. That's what every conscious being is. We're the universe's way of experiencing itself from infinite perspectives. We're the mirrors through which consciousness sees its own reflection. Now here's where this gets immediately practical. If your fundamental purpose is to expand the universe's consciousness, to have new experiences, to learn new things, to create new patterns, then your primary tool isn't your physical strength or your bank account or your connections. It's your imagination, your ability to conceive of things that don't yet exist, your capacity to envision new possibilities, your power to combine existing elements in novel ways. This is your superpower. This is your cosmic function. Every time you imagine something new, you're creating a vibrational pattern in the quantum field that didn't exist before. You're expanding the universe's repertoire of possibilities. You're adding to the sum total of what can be experienced. And here's the key. The universe responds to this. Reality reorganizes itself around sustained imagination because imagination is how consciousness expands. Think about every human achievement, every invention, every work of art, every social movement, every technological breakthrough. They all started the same way. Someone imagined something that didn't exist yet. The Wright brothers imagined human flight. Einstein imagined riding on a beam of light. Martin Luther King Jr. imagined a world where people were judged by their character, not their skin color. They weren't just daydreaming. They were using their consciousness to create new vibrational patterns in the field. And once those patterns existed in consciousness, reality could reorganize itself to manifest them. This is why imagination always precedes manifestation. You cannot create in physical reality what you haven't first created in consciousness. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. If the universe's purpose is to expand consciousness through infinite perspectives, it has to give each perspective freedom. Think about it. If you were the universe wanting to experience yourself fully, would you create robots that just follow programming? Or would you create conscious beings with free will who can make genuine choices, have authentic experiences, and create truly novel things? The only way for consciousness to actually expand is through genuine freedom, through real choice, through the ability to surprise even yourself. This is why free will exists. This is why you're not just a predetermined program running its course. Free will isn't a bug in the system. It's the entire point of the system. The universe gave you freedom because it wants to know what you'll do with it, what you'll create, what you'll experience, what new patterns you'll generate. You're not here to just survive and reproduce. That's the animal program, the biological imperative. You're here to imagine, create, experience, and expand consciousness in ways that have never happened before. So let's get practical. If your cosmic function is to expand consciousness through imagination and free will, what does that mean for your daily life? It means several things. First, your struggles make sense. You're not being punished, you're being challenged. The universe isn't trying to break you, it's trying to see what you'll create in response to difficulty. Every problem you face is an opportunity for consciousness to expand. Will you collapse under pressure? Will you find a new solution? Will you discover inner resources you didn't know you had? The universe doesn't know until you make your choice. And that's the point. You're generating new experience, new data, new possibilities. Second, your desires are guidance. That thing you deeply want to create, experience, or become, that's not random. That's the universe calling you toward expansion. Your deepest desires are showing you the direction in which consciousness wants to grow through you. Not surface desires for comfort or status, deep desires for meaningful work, authentic connection, creative expression, growth, contribution. These desires are the universe's way of saying, this is how I want to expand through you. Third, your uniqueness is essential. You're not here to be like everyone else. You're here to be the one perspective that only you can offer. Every person who ever lived has seen reality from a slightly different angle, created slightly different patterns, had slightly different experiences. Your unique combination of genetics, experiences, interests, and consciousness creates a perspective that has never existed before and will never exist again. The universe needs your specific way of seeing things. Your particular combination of gifts and quirks, your unique creative signature. Fourth, stagnation is the only real failure. From the universe's perspective, the only thing that matters is, are you expanding? Are you learning? Are you creating? Are you experiencing? Success and failure in the conventional sense don't matter. Rich or poor, famous or unknown, accomplished or struggling, these are just different forms of experience. They're all valuable data points in consciousness's expansion. The only real failure is stagnation, choosing not to grow, not to learn, not to create, not to experience. Staying stuck in the same patterns, refusing to expand, because if you're not expanding, you're not fulfilling your cosmic function. You're a mirror that stopped reflecting. Here's one more crucial insight. When you use your imagination and free will to expand your own consciousness, You don't just affect yourself. You affect the entire field. Remember, everything is connected through quantum fields. Your expansion creates ripples that touch everything else. When you grow, you make it easier for others to grow. When you break through a limitation, you weaken that limitation for everyone. This is why breakthrough individuals throughout history have had such disproportionate impact. They weren't just changing themselves, they were changing the collective field, making certain possibilities more accessible to everyone who came after. Think about the first person who ran a 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister, 1954. For years, people believed it was physically impossible. Then Bannister did it, and within 3 years, 16 other runners had broken the 4-minute barrier. Not because their bodies suddenly got better, because the mental barrier in the collective field had been broken. Your personal expansion ripples outward. Your breakthrough affects the whole. You're not just healing yourself, you're healing the field. You're not just creating your own reality, you're adding new possibilities to the collective menu of what's available to everyone. This is why your growth matters cosmically, not just personally. So here's the question that should guide your life from this moment forward. Am I expanding consciousness right now, or contracting it? In every choice, every moment, every situation, are you choosing growth or stagnation? New experience or repeated pattern? Creative expression or mindless consumption? Authentic connection or safe isolation? The universe is asking this question through you every moment of your existence. What will you do with your freedom? How will you use your imagination? What new possibilities will you create? And the beautiful thing is, there's no wrong answer. Every choice generates experience, which expands consciousness. Even mistakes, failures, and detours teach you something, add data to the field, create new patterns. The only non-answer is refusing to choose, playing it safe, staying stuck, letting fear or comfort prevent you from using your cosmic function. But now that you understand why you exist, now that you know your role in the universe's self-knowing, you can start making conscious choices about how you use your imagination and freedom. And that brings us to the third fundamental rule, the one that might be the most controversial, but is also the most liberating when you truly understand it. The rule that explains death. This is the part they really don't want you to understand. Because once you get this, once you truly see death for what it actually is, you become uncontrollable through fear. So let me say this as clearly as possible. Death is not the end of consciousness. Death is the universe's debug function. It's the reset button that prevents you from being permanently trapped by negative patterns and mistakes. I know how radical this sounds, but stay with me because the evidence for this is overwhelming once you look at it clearly. Let's start with a simple principle from physics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. This is the first law of thermodynamics. It's one of the most fundamental laws of nature. Energy is conserved, always. Now, if consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but is actually the primary reality, as we've established, and if everything is fundamentally energy, vibration, then consciousness must also be conserved. You can't create it out of nothing and you can't destroy it. You can only change its form. When your body dies, the physical form dissolves. The vibrations that held that particular pattern together cease. But the consciousness that was animating that body, the awareness itself, doesn't disappear. It can't. It's conserved. It transitions. It changes form. It goes somewhere. Now, where it goes and what happens next, that's the big question. And the answer reveals why death exists in the first place. Think about how patterns work in your life right now. You have thought patterns, habitual ways of thinking that run automatically. You have emotional patterns, default feelings that come up in certain situations. You have behavioral patterns, actions you take repeatedly without thinking. These patterns are vibrational. They're encoded in your neural networks, in your emotional body, in the quantum field around you. And the longer you repeat them, the stronger they get. Now imagine living for 1,000 years with the same patterns, the same fears, the same limiting beliefs, the same negative thought loops, the same emotional reactions. Those patterns would become so deeply entrenched, so powerfully reinforced, that breaking free would be nearly impossible. You'd be trapped in your own vibrational prison, unable to see beyond the walls you'd built over centuries. This is the problem death solves. Think of your physical incarnation like a computer program. You boot up, birth. You run for a while, life. You accumulate data and patterns, experiences, beliefs, habits, and eventually, the system gets cluttered. Files are corrupted. Programs conflict with each other. The system runs slower, bugs accumulate. At some point, the most efficient thing to do is save your essential data, shut down the system, clear the temporary files, and reboot. That's what death is, a system reboot. Your essential consciousness, your core awareness, your accumulated wisdom, your deepest learnings, these are saved. They're your permanent files. They transfer to your next form. But the negative patterns, the limiting beliefs, the traumatic imprints, the fear-based reactions, these are temporary files that get cleared. They were specific to this particular physical form, this particular life situation, this particular set of circumstances. When you reboot, reincarnate, you start with a fresh system. You keep your core wisdom, but you lose the accumulated bugs and corruptions. You get another chance to grow without being weighed down by centuries of negative patterns. Now, this might sound like wishful thinking or religious belief, but there's actually substantial evidence that consciousness continues after death and reincarnates. Near-death experiences. Thousands of documented cases of people who were clinically dead, no brain activity, no heartbeat, who reported vivid experiences of consciousness continuing. Many reported leaving their bodies, observing things they couldn't have seen, which were later verified. These experiences show consistent patterns across cultures. A sense of peace, moving through a tunnel, meeting deceased relatives, a life review, and being sent back with a message. Children with past life memories. Dr. Ian Stevenson and Dr. Jim Tucker at the University of Virginia documented over 2,500 cases of children spontaneously remembering detailed information about previous lives, names, places, events, relationships, which were later verified. These children often had birthmarks or physical traits corresponding to injuries in their claimed past life. The pattern is too consistent and too detailed to dismiss as imagination. Quantum consciousness theories. Physicists like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff have proposed that consciousness arises from quantum processes in the brain's microtubules, and that this quantum information doesn't just disappear at death. It returns to the quantum field and can later re-emerge in a new biological system. Conservation laws. If consciousness is fundamental and energy is conserved, then consciousness must be conserved. The math doesn't work otherwise. Where does it go if not into another form? I'm not asking you to blindly believe this. I'm asking you to consider the evidence and the logic. Does it make more sense that consciousness, the most fundamental aspect of reality, just vanishes at death? Or that it transforms, like everything else in nature, transforms? Here's why this matters practically. If death is a debug function, then life becomes a wisdom acquisition system. Your job isn't to avoid all mistakes. Your job isn't to be perfect. Your job is to learn, to grow, to experience, to acquire wisdom. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to develop wisdom that transfers to your next form. Every mistake you make teaches you something your consciousness will carry forward. Every difficulty you overcome strengthens your essential self. You're not trying to avoid death by being good or following rules. You're trying to extract as much wisdom as possible from this particular life experience before you reboot and start the next one. This completely changes how you approach challenges. Old perspective. Why is this happening to me? This is unfair. I just want to survive comfortably. New perspective. What wisdom is this situation trying to teach me? What pattern am I meant to recognize? How can I grow from this? See the difference? One makes you a victim. The other makes you a wisdom seeker. Many near-death experiencers report something called a life review, where they experience their entire life from multiple perspectives, including feeling the impact of their actions on others. This isn't judgment from an external God. This is consciousness reviewing its own data before the reboot. You experience everything you made others feel. Every act of kindness, every moment of cruelty, every word spoken, every choice made, all from both sides. Why? Because the universe is learning what it's like to be on both ends of every interaction. It's expanding consciousness by experiencing all perspectives. This is why treating others poorly ultimately hurts you. Not because of external karma or divine punishment, because you will experience what you made them feel. The universe learns by experiencing all sides. And this is why compassion makes sense beyond just morality. When you hurt others, you're literally hurting a future version of your own consciousness. When you help others, you're enriching the collective experience you'll one day access. When you truly understand that death is not annihilation but transformation, when you see it as a necessary reset button rather than a terrifying end, something profound happens. Fear dissolves. If you can't actually die, only transform, what is there to fear? Pain can be endured. Loss is temporary. Failure is just data. Death itself is a doorway, not a wall. Urgency appears. If this life is a finite opportunity to acquire wisdom and expand consciousness, every moment matters. Not because you're running out of time permanently, but because this particular form, this particular set of experiences, is unique and temporary. Use it fully. Purpose clarifies. If you're here to extract wisdom and expand consciousness, then your purpose becomes clear. Learn, grow, create, experience, love, understand. Don't waste this incarnation on unconscious patterns and fear-based living. Freedom expands. When you're not desperate to survive at all costs, you can take risks. You can be authentic. You can choose growth over safety. You can live boldly because the worst that can happen is you reboot and try again with more wisdom. This doesn't make life meaningless. It makes life more meaningful. Because now every experience is valuable, every lesson matters, every moment of growth is permanent progress. The practical application. So how do you use this understanding right now? First, stop living as if this life is all there is. Take the risks you've been afraid to take. Say the things you've been afraid to say. Be who you actually are, not who you think you need to be to survive. Second, focus on wisdom acquisition. When challenges arise, ask, what is this teaching me? What wisdom can I extract from this experience? This transforms suffering into valuable data. Third, live boldly. Since the only thing you're taking with you is wisdom and consciousness expansion, invest in experiences that develop those, not material accumulation, not status games, not safe, comfortable stagnation. Fourth, trust the process. Death isn't your enemy. It's part of the system. It's the reset button that ensures you never get permanently stuck. When the time comes, you'll transition to the next form with all your essential wisdom intact. This understanding is what separates the enslaved from the free. Those who fear death can be controlled through threats to their survival. But those who understand death as transformation cannot be controlled by fear. And that brings us to the final piece, how to actually use all of this knowledge to transform your daily reality, starting right now. Now we put it all together. Now you get the complete operating system for how reality actually works and how to use it consciously. Everything we've covered, vibrational reality, observer effect, cosmic imperative, death as debug, all of it comes together in one unified system that you can use every single day. I call it the reality feedback loop. And once you understand how this loop works, you'll see why some people seem to effortlessly create what they want, while others struggle endlessly despite working hard. The loop explained. Here's how reality actually operates in your life. Step 1, your vibrational state, beliefs plus emotions plus focus, determines what aspects of the quantum field you tune into. Think of it like this. The quantum field contains all possibilities simultaneously. But you don't perceive all possibilities. You perceive the ones that match your vibrational frequency. If you're vibrating at the frequency of fear, lack, and limitation, you tune into the aspects of reality that match those vibrations. You notice threats. You see scarcity. You perceive obstacles. If you're vibrating at the frequency of trust, abundance, and possibility, you tune into completely different aspects of the same reality. You notice opportunities. You see resources. You perceive solutions. Same field, different reception based on your vibrational state. Step 2. What you perceive shapes your thoughts and expectations. The information you receive from the field, the things you notice, the patterns you see, the possibilities you perceive, these become your thoughts. If you're tuned into lack patterns, you think, there's never enough. If you're tuned into abundance patterns, you think, things always work out. These thoughts then generate expectations about what will happen next. And expectations are powerful because Step 3. Your expectations collapse probability toward matching outcomes. Remember the observer effect? Your consciousness collapses wave functions. Your observations turn potential into actuality. But what you observe is heavily influenced by what you expect to observe. Expectation is a form of sustained observation that biases probability. If you expect problems, you'll observe patterns that suggest problems, which collapses probability toward problems actually occurring. If you expect solutions, you'll observe patterns that suggest solutions, which collapses probability towards solutions appearing. Step 4. The outcomes you experience reinforce your original vibrational state. And here's where the loop closes. When you experience outcomes that match your expectations, this reinforces the beliefs and emotions that created your original vibrational state. If you expected problems and problems appeared, your belief in lack gets stronger. If you expected solutions and solutions appeared, your belief in abundance gets stronger. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Your vibration determines your perception shapes your expectations. Your expectations collapse probability. The outcomes reinforce your vibration. Round and round, creating either an upward spiral of expansion or a downward spiral of contraction. Most people are running negative loops without realizing it. They have beliefs formed in childhood. I'm not good enough. Life is hard. People can't be trusted. These beliefs create a vibrational state of fear, guardedness, and struggle. This vibrational state makes them tune into threatening and limiting aspects of reality. They think thoughts that match what they're perceiving. See? I knew this wouldn't work. Nothing ever works for me. These thoughts create expectations of failure and disappointment. Their expectations cause them to unconsciously observe and therefore collapse probability toward outcomes that match. Failures, disappointments, confirmations of their limiting beliefs. When these outcomes appear, they think, see, I was right. This is just how life is. And the loop reinforces itself, getting stronger every cycle. This person isn't cursed. They're not unlucky. They're not being punished. They're running a negative feedback loop and not realizing they're the one running it. The good news, you can interrupt this loop at any point. You can consciously intervene. and shift the direction of the spiral. There are 4 main intervention points. Intervention 1. Change your vibrational state directly. You can consciously generate different emotions and hold different focus, regardless of current circumstances. This is the most powerful intervention point, because it affects everything downstream. Change your vibration, and you automatically change what you perceive, what you expect, and what outcomes you experience. How? Through practices like conscious breathing to shift emotional state, gratitude to generate abundance frequency, visualization to prime specific expectations, movement to release stuck patterns, music to elevate mood, nature to reset your field. Intervention 2. Change what you're observing. You can consciously choose to focus on different aspects of reality, even within your current vibrational state. Same situation, different focus equals different information entering your loop. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what's working. Instead of noticing problems, notice small wins. Instead of seeing obstacles, look for tiny openings. This isn't fake positivity. This is choosing which aspects of reality to observe, knowing that observation affects what becomes real. Intervention 3. Change your expectations consciously. You can deliberately choose to expect positive outcomes, even when your current experience suggests otherwise. This feels like lying at first. But remember, expectation is observation in advance. It's pre-collapsing probability. You're not being dishonest, you're using your observer power intentionally. Practice expecting good things. Expect helpful people to appear. Expect solutions to emerge. Expect resources to show up, not desperately needing them to, calmly expecting them to. Intervention 4. Reinterpret outcomes. When outcomes occur, you get to decide what they mean. Did you fail or learn? Was that a problem or an opportunity? Is this proof you can't succeed or feedback to adjust your approach? The meaning you assign to outcomes determines whether they reinforce negative or positive beliefs, which determines whether your loop spirals up or down. Same outcome. Different interpretation equals different effect on your loop. The 40-day recalibration. Here's a practical protocol to consciously shift your feedback loop from negative to positive. Days 1 to 10. Awareness phase. Just notice your current loop. Don't try to change it yet. Just observe. What emotions do you feel most often? What do you consistently focus on? What do you expect to happen? What outcomes keep appearing? Write it down. Map your current loop. See it clearly. Days 11 to 20. Intervention phase. Start actively intervening at 1 or more points. Morning. 10 minutes of deliberate vibrational shift, breathing, gratitude, visualization. Throughout day. Notice when you're focusing on problems, consciously redirect to solutions. Evening. Reinterpret today's outcomes in terms of learning and opportunity rather than failure and lack. Don't try to be perfect. Just intervene more than you used to. Days 21 to 30. Stabilization phase. The new patterns are forming, but they're fragile. This is when most people quit because they don't see massive results yet. Keep intervening. Keep choosing different focuses. Keep reinterpreting outcomes. Keep practicing your vibrational shifts. The loop is reversing direction, but it hasn't gained momentum yet. Days 31 to 40. Acceleration phase. Now you'll start seeing clear evidence. Small synchronicities. Unexpected help. Resources appearing. Problems resolving easier. This is the new loop gaining strength. Your vibrational state is stabilizing at a higher frequency. You're tuning into better aspects of the field. Your expectations are collapsing probability toward positive outcomes. Don't get overconfident and stop the practices. This is when you double down, because now you're creating momentum that will carry you forward. Day 40 plus. New baseline. After 40 days of conscious intervention, the new loop becomes your default. You've trained your nervous system into new patterns. You've established new vibrational set points. You've rewired your perceptual filters. This doesn't mean problems disappear. It means you relate to them differently. You see them as temporary and solvable rather than permanent and overwhelming. You expect solutions rather than more problems. You look for opportunities within challenges rather than just suffering through them. The quantum advantage. Now here's where this gets really powerful. Once you understand you're running a feedback loop with the quantum field, you can use quantum principles to amplify your results. Principle 1. Coherence multiplies power. When your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are all aligned toward the same outcome, you create quantum coherence. This isn't just being positive, it's being unified. Most people have contradictory vibrations. They want success but feel unworthy. They desire love but fear rejection. They visualize abundance but emotionally live in lack. These contradictions create quantum decoherence, which weakens your observer effect. Practice alignment. Make your thoughts, feelings, and expectations point in the same direction. This multiplies your reality-shaping power exponentially. Principle 2. Sustained observation collapses probability faster. Quick, desperate observations don't collapse probability as effectively as calm, sustained observation. Think of it like this. Desperate wanting is actually observing the absence of what you want, which collapses probability toward continued absence. Calm, sustained expectation is observing the presence of what you want, which collapses probability toward its appearance. Same desire, different vibrational quality of observation equals completely different outcomes. Principle 3. The field responds to frequency, not words. You can say affirmations all day, but if your emotional frequency doesn't match the words, the field doesn't respond. The field reads your actual vibrational state, not your stated intentions. This is why fake it till you make it sometimes works. If you can genuinely generate the feeling state of having what you want, you shift your frequency to match it, and the field responds. But if you're just saying words while feeling lack, you're broadcasting lack frequency, and the field responds to that instead. Principle 4. Small shifts cascade. You don't need to change everything at once. Small vibrational shifts create ripples that affect everything else. Change one belief, and related beliefs start shifting. Shift one emotion, and your whole emotional landscape begins adjusting. Alter one expectation, and connected expectations follow. The feedback loop means any positive change amplifies itself over time. You just need to start somewhere and maintain consistency. Your reality dashboard. Think of these 4 elements as your reality dashboard. The controls that determine your life experience. Beliefs, vibrational set point. What you believe about yourself, others, and reality creates your baseline frequency. This is your default channel. Emotions, current frequency. What you're feeling right now determines what aspect of the field you're currently tuned into. This changes moment to moment, but averages out to match your beliefs. Focus, observer direction. Where you're directing your attention determines which probabilities you're actively collapsing. This is your most immediate control. Expectations, probability bias. What you expect to happen creates a sustained observation that biases probability in that direction. This is your predictive power. Most people let all 4 run on autopilot, controlled by past programming and external circumstances. But now you know these are your controls. You can adjust them consciously. Want to change your life? Change your dashboard settings. Want different outcomes? Run a different feedback loop. Want to create instead of just react? Use your observer power consciously instead of unconsciously. The system is responding to you constantly. It always has been. The question is, Are you going to keep running the old program unconsciously, or are you going to take the controls and direct your own reality feedback loop? Starting tonight, here's what you can do tonight, right now, to begin consciously working with your feedback loop. Before sleep. 1. Identify one limiting belief that's been running your loop. Example, things never work out for me. 2. Create a new belief to replace it. Example, solutions always appear when I need them. 3. Generate the emotion of that new belief being true. Feel what it would feel like if solutions really did always appear. 4. Hold that emotion as you fall asleep, letting it imprint into your subconscious. Tomorrow morning, 1. Before checking your phone, spend 5 minutes in that elevated emotional state again. 2. Set a conscious expectation for one thing you want to occur today. 3. Throughout the day, notice when your old loop tries to run, gently redirect to the new pattern. 4. Before bed tomorrow, review. What evidence appeared today that supports your new belief? There will be some. Look for it. Do this for 40 days. Watch what happens to your reality, because reality isn't fixed. Reality is a feedback loop between your consciousness and the quantum field, and now you know how to consciously adjust that loop. The universe is listening. It's been listening all along. It responds to your vibrational broadcast, your focused observation, your sustained expectations. What will you tell it? What reality will you tune into? What probability will you collapse? The controls are yours. They always have been. Now you know how to use them. So let's bring this full circle. You started this video living in a lie. The lie that reality is solid matter, that you're just a body, that consciousness is a byproduct of brain chemistry, that death is the end, that you're powerless to affect your circumstances. Now you know the truth. Reality is vibrational, pure energy in motion, consciousness expressing itself as apparent matter. You are consciousness having a physical experience, not a physical being occasionally having conscious moments. Your observation collapses probability into actuality. You're not watching reality. You're participating in creating it. Your purpose is to expand consciousness through imagination and free will. You're the universe knowing itself. Death is a debug function, a system reset that prevents you from being trapped by negative patterns forever. And your life operates as a feedback loop. Your vibrational state determines what you perceive. What you perceive shapes your expectations. Your expectations collapse probability, and the outcomes reinforce your vibration in an endless cycle. This isn't philosophy, this isn't belief. This is how reality actually works at the most fundamental level. The 3 lies were designed to keep you controllable through fear. Now that you know the truth, fear loses its grip. The user manual was hidden because people who understand how reality works don't need permission from authorities, don't stay in line out of fear, and can't be controlled through threats to their survival. But the truth is, breaking through. More people are waking up to this every day. The lies are collapsing under the weight of their own contradictions. So here's what matters. What are you going to do with this knowledge? You could close this video and go back to your old patterns, pretending you never learned this, living as if the lies are true because it's more comfortable. Or you could start using this tonight. Take the controls. Run your feedback loop consciously. Use your observer power deliberately. Live as the creative consciousness you actually are. The universe is waiting to see what you'll choose. Not judging, just curious. What will you do with your freedom? How will you expand consciousness? What new patterns will you create? Remember, you're not here to just survive. You're here to learn, grow, create, experience, and expand. Every challenge is an opportunity for wisdom. Every moment is a chance to use your cosmic function. And death isn't something to fear. It's the reset button that ensures you'll always get another chance, with all your wisdom intact. but without the accumulated bugs and corruptions. If this video resonated with you, if something inside recognized this as truth, that's not random. That's your consciousness remembering what it already knew but forgot during physical incarnation. This information creates a vibrational shift in everyone who truly hears it. You're different now than you were 65 minutes ago. Your feedback loop has been interrupted. New patterns are available. Type in the comments, "Feedback loop activated." That's your declaration to yourself and to this community that you're taking conscious control of your reality creation process. Then tell me, 1. Which intervention point will you start with? Vibrational state, focus, expectations, or outcome interpretation? 2. What's the one limiting belief you're replacing first? Your comment isn't just for me, it's your conscious decision point. It's you using your free will to choose expansion over stagnation. It's you declaring to the universe, "I'm awake now. I'm using the controls." And when you do this publicly, you create an energetic signature that affects the collective field. You make it easier for others to wake up too. Your expansion helps everyone expand. This video is the foundation, the operating system, the user manual. But there are specific advanced techniques for working with each principle we've covered. The next video on the channel goes deeper into the vibrational mastery protocols, the exact practices for maintaining coherent, high-frequency states that make reality extremely responsive. And I've been uploading more frequently recently, so explore the rest of the channel. Each video builds on this foundation, adding new layers and applications. For those who want to go deeper than YouTube allows, join the free newsletter at philosophicalessence.com. That's where I share the advanced techniques, the experiments, the specific protocols that don't fit into video format. Here's what I want you to remember above everything else. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not insignificant. You are consciousness itself, temporarily focused into a physical form, using your observer power to collapse infinite potential into specific experience, expanding the universe's self-awareness through your unique perspective. The cosmos needs you. Reality responds to you. You matter more than you've been taught to believe. Everything you were told about being a random accident in an uncaring universe was a lie designed to keep you small and controllable. The truth is, you're essential. You're powerful. You're literally creating your reality with every observation, every expectation, every emotional broadcast. Use this power wisely. Use it consciously. Use it to expand rather than contract. Use it to create rather than just react. Use it to grow rather than stagnate. The universe is listening. The quantum field is responding. The feedback loop is running. What will you tell reality you are? What will you expect reality to become? What will you observe reality doing? Because whatever you consistently broadcast, reality will echo back to you. Lock it in. Decide right now. This is your moment. Comment below. Feedback loop activated. Your quantum awakening begins now. See you in the next transmission.